Okay, welcome to Gravity Train Podcast. This is the first podcast me and my dad are doing together. So this is going to be a little bit of a learning experience for the both of us. So I'm Bruno. I'm the owner and founder of Gravity Trained. And then this is my dad, Cleber. He is the running coach, the running side of the business. And so today, for this first podcast, we're going to be talking about mental toughness and resiliency. I think this is a pretty good topic to talk about, especially to start off, because this is what you have to have if you're even going to think about starting on a journey to be fit, right? My dad's a runner, so he has a lot, he's ultra marathon runner, Ironman. So he has a lot of experience with resiliency and mental toughness. So I figured this would be one of the best topics to start off, right? So that's the topic of today. We're going to discuss a lot of things like why it's so hard to start. How do you stay in the zone once you're in it? And a bunch of other topics like that. So I want to start off this podcast with just a question that both of us are going to ask. And I'm going to ask my dad, and then he'll ask it back to me. We'll discuss and change notes, and that's how it will go. So the first question I want to ask my dad is, when you hear the word mental toughness and resiliency, what comes to your mind?
Okay, first thing for me is my first experience here. I mean, being with my son doing a podcast, talking about something that I truly love, sports, running. I mean, this is my passion. And this topic that we're gonna be talking about, it's really in the center of what you're gonna live when you choose the fitness side of your life, either running, exercise, or anything. So, but for that, as Bruno said, we're gonna be talking about mental toughness. And what comes to my mind? At first, that changes over time. What do you think? But when it first came to me, okay, mental toughness for me was being a badass. No matter what, I'm just gonna run over whatever comes my way. I'll just tough it up, get it done, and then. But it's a tough call if you try to just tough it up and get it done and don't really think about what mental toughness really is. So that that is a tough call for, I'll tell you that.
So maybe we can kind of like story wise, right? Like when do you see yourself actually living up to your ideal of, man, I am being mentally tough right now, right? Like maybe just give us like a story.
Yeah, and that's a good question because I mean, over time, mental toughness for me changed. What's being mental toughness? Once you understand what that really means, it means more than just being tough. It means that you gotta train for it. You gotta learn what your weaknesses are. And when you know what your weaknesses are, might be physical, might be in your mind is actually connected with everything, because sometimes what brings your attention in a run, long run, like 50, 70, 100 miles, I mean, you might have like a pain in your foot, right? And that thing might be the center of your attention for the whole race. And me being mental toughness at this time, it might be okay. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I got a run to do. I mean, you think about something else, you got a goal to do, it divert your attention to something else. That's being tough. Okay, you disregarding that pain that it's gonna be with you for hours and hours and hours. So you gotta feel like this is my pain. I'm gonna feel it. I got a job to do here, which is finish my race. It's finish my run. It's finish my exercise. That's one of the things that I guess you develop over time, and you start increasing your capability of being tough on that perspective. Is training for that, and try to look from different angles. So that's
I think that plays like perfectly into like how I define it, right? Like the way that I see mental toughness is you have to see reality for what it is, right? And you can't suppress things, because the more you suppress it, it seems that the more you suppress things, the more they like get in your face. Like I'm thinking about jujitsu, and in jujitsu, like yeah, like sometimes you train with injuries, and if you're stubborn and you tell yourself, nah, this injury isn't going to affect the way that I perform, you're gonna do things that are gonna impact the injury, you're going to aggravate the pain. But if you're smart about it, you go, okay, this is my story. This is where I am right now in reality, where I have this pain. So then you work around the pain, right? You don't do certain things because you know, oh, this is going to aggravate the pain. And so you have to just see reality for what it is. And I see that as being like, mental toughness isn't the absence of emotional regulation. It's a mix. It's like I'm mentally aware of what my emotional state is, and I'm able to balance both. Where, okay, I can feel this thing. This thing is like fear or pain or
It's
frustration.
real. It's real, right?
It's real, and I'm allowing it to influence how I feel, but I use it as fuel to clear my thinking and not allow it to muddy my thoughts, right?
That's amazing the way you're putting it, because more you think about that, more I think about that, and that's the way I try to do things when I'm against the corner, really to separating feelings from your actions, because you're feeling one way, but you gotta act a different way. You're feeling like I'm feeling like stopping this run or stopping this exercise, but I'll keep doing it
Yeah.
because I know it's good for me. I know because I gotta keep going. This is being mental tough.
And then it kind of goes into the second question, which is like, how did we used to see mental toughness? And I feel like before I used to see mental toughness as the absence of feelings, where somehow I just turned into this robot and I was pure logic. But the more I live and the more I train, emotions are fuel for how I think. And if I'm tired, if like my body's telling me to stop, but if I somehow don't listen to it, feel like if I pretend like it's not there, somehow makes me weak. But if I listen to him, like, okay, I really want to stop. Can I go a little more though? Then you go a little bit more. And then that voice goes, shit, let me make up another excuse. And then you go a little more. And then the voice gets a little quieter. And then I don't know. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. Like when I go against guys that are just absolutely destroying me on the mat, like it's easy for me to just quit. But then somehow, like I have to play with that feeling of it's almost like I have a voice in my head that tells me to stop, and then I have this voice that tells I can go forever, and then I'm watching both of them, and I go, no, fuck you, little voice, but you're kind of crazy. I don't know if I can go forever, but I'm gonna listen to the good voice, and I'm gonna see how far I can go. How has it changed for you?
It's funny that I was actually waiting for you to finish your phrase to talk exactly about that, because there's a book that can come to my mind right now that I read, that this voice on this side was kind of the devil, and then you have like the angel on the other side that once tells you one thing and you're right in the middle.
Yeah,
Okay, you're gonna pick your battle.
yeah,
Pick your battle. The guy's gonna tell her, quit, man. You have no chance. And
yeah,
then the other one, what are you talking about? Don't listen to the other one. You can do this. Just idiot. Let's keep going.
yeah,
And you're in the middle here, you're going nuts. That's what it is when you're out there. But you're in command. Neither this guy, neither that guy should be in command. You're in command. You're going to choose. That's being tough. Mental toughness is that. Don't let any external forces deviate you from what you're really there to. So,
I like
right?
that. Yeah, I like that. Don't like, yeah, even, there's this really interesting book. I think I've given it to you before, which is The Screw Tape Letters. Remember this book?
You told me that. I never read it.
Fuck, man, this book is nuts. So this book, it's a book about a conversation between two demons, okay? And these two demons are talking like, look, this is how you're going to influence this person to go towards a life that leads to hell, right? And the demon is explaining to basically the apprentice demon, like sometimes you actually have to tell them, no, you can do it, which is we're kind of getting like into the ethereal, but sometimes like, and we'll talk about this later, sometimes the best thing you can do is slow down and not just keep going and reassess, right?
we talked about the first topic, like mental toughness, but there's to get to the mental toughness is actually part of it. There's another topic that is people have the resistance to start something, whatever it is. I mean, but since you're talking about fitness here, you start running, you start going to the gym or anything. Bruno, what do you think that is people make people hesitate to even start something, make the decision? What do you think that why people are so hesitant to get
Man,
started?
man, I think, in my opinion, and this has been my experience for the things that I've started and the things that I've stopped, is people hesitate to start because they don't have the right role models, and they're not in the right environment, right? We're basically creatures of habit, right? What we're around and what we're influenced by is what we end up imitating. And if you're around a lot of people that don't show the behavior that you want to have, then most likely you're not going to act that way, right? So I might have the value in my mind if I want to be healthy, but if I'm not around a lot of people that I can see live a healthy life, and if I'm not around an environment that shows me healthy lifestyles, right? And it's not only like the exercise, but it's like, how do you sleep? How do you talk to people? How do you plan? What kind of information are you consuming? That's the biggest, for me, that was and is the biggest thing that stops someone from starting. What you're around is what you're going to become, man. So if you're around bad influences, most likely you're not going to go anywhere. But if you start to change your surroundings, you change the people you're with, you change the information you consume, more likely you're bound to change. What do you think it is?
Well, I pretty much go in line with what you say. And in my experience with my athletes, and they said there's different people and people react different and they have this power, this mental toughness of continue or not, because you need at least the beginning. I think the hardest part is really this resistance to start. And once you start, you're able to hold on like a couple of months or even a month. You gotta give everything you got because I mean that lack of what would be the word like when you want the lack of that hungry for
Yeah,
doing the exercise that we want, that the passion that we all know that comes with time will show up eventually. But you gotta just start. But I had people like I had one athlete now. It's actually funny because this guy he started with me like 8 months ago, 8 months, right? And then he started running with me like for a month. And then he started having some issues here and there. And then Cleber, my foot. I said, that's fine. Okay, let's not do it. And then something else happened. And then something else happened. So 7 months went by. You know how many months did he run? Only the first month, actually 2, 3 weeks. The rest, I was putting the workouts in the app and calling him, sending message, but he wouldn't go. He wouldn't develop that because I mean mentally weak. And I know people have problems, personal problems, family problems, work problems, and all that. But you just gotta make a decision
I
to
think
go there and start. And if I'm gonna go a little quick here, when I started, I was really afraid of start for example, my first Ironman. So I really want to do this Ironman, and that was probably about 8 years ago when I first decided that I wanted to do the Ironman, but I didn't tell anybody. That was my thought. I want to do the Ironman, and then I start searching. Okay, how old is the oldest guy that finished the Ironman? So I found out that guy was 80 years old. I'm 59 now, so I was 51. And so, well, damn, if this guy finished, I can finish, right? What I did, okay, once I said I decided I gotta be accountable for it. So what was my strategy? I said, okay, I'm gonna tell that I'm gonna do the Ironman for as many people as I can because I'm the kind of guy. Once I say something, I'm not gonna go back. I'm just gonna do it. So I start spreading the word. Listen, I'm gonna do the Ironman, and then people say, "You're crazy. This is not so." But that was it. More they told me that I was crazy, more I wanted. So I got a coach and I said, I'm going to get it done. And I did my first one. Then I did the second one. Then I did the ultra marathons, the marathons and all that. So, but I start going in line with the people that I wanted to go with. I start talking to people that wanted the same thing that I wanted. I stepped away from people that are saying, you crazy, this, you cannot do it. That's for, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I want people to put me up, not put me down.
Yeah.
So you got to keep that in mind, right? Because you can do whatever you want as long as you put your mind to it.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point, right? Like sometimes it takes a lot of effort to start, right? Like it has to come from you. Like, we talk about like I just said, like how do you like what's the best way to start? Is to have like your surrounding, right? Like your environment and your influences have to influence you to start. Sometimes there is no influence and there is no environment for you to start.
And you don't trust yourself.
Yeah, but it's like you have to start it, and then from there you have to use that initial burst of energy to find people that are aligned with your goals, right? Like I have a client that I just got. She wants to lose like, dude, I think she's looking to lose like 60 pounds. Okay. She just started with me. Why did she start? She started because her friend entered a bikini competition. But not only that, and then when she asked her, how many times a week do you train? She goes, I only train twice a week with a trainer. And then the other days I train by myself. That little piece of information was enough for her to think, I can do twice a week. I can train by myself, and I want to get this body that I've been dreaming of having for the last 10 years, right? And so it took an external force to influence her, but then now it's just her. And now she has to find people that can help her with her goal. Because now she goes to work and people offer her donuts and offer her sweets. And she goes, no, I'm on a diet. I'm going to lose weight. And then, now she's starting to learn who are her people, who are the people that are going to help her on this journey. And she's going to learn really quick the ones that aren't. And she's going to have to decide, like, look, I'm going to have to kind of cut you out of my life for the time being while I hit this goal, because either you're adding or you're subtracting. Like, either you're in or you're out. And if you're in this goal with me, if you support me, you're going to fucking support me. Right. There's no half ass here.
Absolutely. And the same happened. I mean, was also many years ago when I started doing mountain bike, and I was talking to Mauricio, a friend of mine. We started like with like 12 friends. They bought bikes, mountain bikes. Do you remember that, Bruno?
Yeah,
It's
let's
like
go.
that was like 11 years ago. But I was talking
Easy.
to Mauricio 11 years ago, Bruno. Can you believe it?
God,
So
that's
we
amazing.
had like 12 in our group. You know how many are left? 2. That's me and Mauricio.
Yeah.
Only us, because I mean, people just didn't follow through. And then we start like raising the bar, raising the bar, raising the bar. Because I mean, to raise the bar, you gotta leave out things that you used to do, either drink, either smoke, either sleep, or work too much, or this or that. You gotta start weeding out things that are on the way of your goal. You weed out people, you weed out action, habits, like bad habits. Again, pick your battle. But you can do it one little time and then keep raising the bar. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. If I did it, anybody can do it. Trust me.
Okay, so that kind of dovetails us perfectly into the third topic, which is routine and discipline, and how the better you progress, it's not just about like being more intense, although that is important, but it's having a routine, right? It's about being consistent, and over time, consistency ends up making things easier. And then the easier things get, then the obvious next step is just to increase intensity, right? I mean, I would imagine that would be if you're if you're into progress, right? So we've written down these questions that we ask ourselves. So I'm going to ask you this question, and I want you to answer honestly. Okay. So what role has routine played in your success or stability of your success?
That's everything. That's everything. I mean, if you have the mental toughness, right? If you choose the right people, I mean, consistency, routine. That's what's gonna take you there. Forget about like being the strongest, like a 1 day, 2 days. No, that's not gonna make you. Forget about what you did yesterday. I want to know what you're doing today, what you're gonna do tomorrow, right? This is the important thing. You wanna be there every day, whatever it is, or every other day. You gotta put your routine, your schedule, and you wanna follow through. I mean, in some athletes, some people go through this, and I ask this question for my athletes: how do you like to be led? Right? Some people for me, when I had like a coach, I love tough love. Tough love. Don't be soft on me. I mean, I can take it, right? So, and I have people that are like, I gotta take it easy, the way I talk, this and that. But for some other one, because I care. No matter the way I talk to my athletes, I care, and people should choose the way they like to be treated. I like tough love, so I tell like a raw truth. I mean, you gotta get this shit done. I mean, why are you slacking? Why you didn't do this? Why are you eating? I mean, you want to get this done or not? Right? That's tough love. Just go and run. Stop talking. Get it done. Do every day. I want to see green on my screen here. Like I want to see everything. So just do it consistently, day after day. You're gonna get the result. Also, Bruno, people are sometimes you have an hour or have 2 hours of workout to do in a day. And for some reason, there's days that you couldn't do it. I have an hour and a half, but I can only do half an hour. Screw it. Do the half an hour. Don't let it go. Half an hour counts. 15 minutes count. Show up, So that's why consistency. Even if you cannot do everything, consistency. Do it.
I like that. Yeah, that's super important. I see it as just as important. It's like, yeah, man, even if you don't do it all the way, just doing it halfway, it's a little bit every day, it's gonna go a long way. Right?
What's another thing?
So sometimes like the topic of boredom comes up. This idea of like, sometimes I'm tired or it's boring to go do like a run but what do you think about that? I think it's bullshit.
Well, I divert from you, Bruno. Most of the time, I don't want to do it.
Okay, I
Believe it or
guess.
not, most of the time I don't want to do it
Okay. I think it's
till I
different.
start.
Okay, that's a good point. But I think it's a bit different, like coming from where I'm coming from, where it's like jujitsu, right? Where I think the thing with boredom is you're doing the same thing too much. The thing about progress is you don't want to do the same thing all the time. You want to do the same thing in different variations.
Yep.
So there's always a level of challenge and there's always a level of novelty,
Diversity.
diversity. And so I don't know, for running, I can see maybe it's a little bit boring because all you're doing is just putting one foot in front of the other.
No, but it's not, Bruno. You said everything. Because when you put this here, you gotta do like a different trainings every day. Otherwise, that's why people don't progress if they just go out and run, easy run, or just a strong run. It doesn't cut the deal. You gotta have this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean that's kind of like my whole thing, I mean, like, I've written down like what I think routine and success has done for me. And really what I've written down is it's just you have to have consistency, Like mental toughness is it's basically like for you to be mentally tough in my eyes, what it means is you've been exposed to so much different shit that nothing is difficult anymore, right? And so you start doing something difficult and you go, oh, this is kind of like the other thing that I did, just a little bit different. And then over time the hard thing just becomes just the same problem in a different way.
Absolutely. And I guess that comes to like what I remember, like our master, our first master from Jiu-Jitsu said about the black belt and the white belt. It's been years, but I could never forget that. What is the difference between a white belt and a black belt? So a black belt is a white belt that never gave up,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, that's all it is.
Truly
Yeah.
raw.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a white belt that never gave up and was exposed to enough different shit to where it's like I'm proficient in it now, you know? Man, I'll tell you a story the other day. We there's this new gym that opened up in town here, right? And we went as a gym, our gym, my gym, to this new gym. And this new gym that we were at, this black belt, man, he just wasn't any good. He just
Really.
he just wasn't any good, man. And he had all the credentials, And then and you kind of think like, well, what happened? What happened was he probably did the same things way too many times, right? And got it in here. I'm pretty good. You know what I mean? Instead of being, instead of pushing the limit, but like, okay, how good am I? Let me try this way. Let me try it that way. So that's also like a thing about like mental toughness is, dude. It's like you're not really mentally tough until you can handle really weird shit and be like, I got it. I can manage. That's at least that's my opinion. Like when I think of my coach and I think of all my teammates, they're not only skilled, but they're mentally tough, or they can experience a new thing and they go, okay, this is weird. Let me figure it out. Instead of this is weird, you're weird. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's not
Absolutely,
mental
Bruno.
toughness stuff.
That's a perfect, perfect point, man. You try to avoid diversity, and
Yeah,
diversity is actually good. You grow with that. We grow with the new, but the world gotta go to give space to the new,
yeah,
right? You gotta open space.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right. So when you talked about the consistency, we go direct to what people really look for, the passion, the zone. All right. Being in the zone. And I believe to get in the zone, you get after you have mental toughness, after you have the consistency, after you being there for some time, then you're going to get in the zone. Then you're going to know what your mental toughness did for you, what the consistency brought to your life, and then, okay, then you're going to leave that beautiful feeling that is being in the zone, right? I mean, you get in the zone in different ways. You get in the zone like in doing business, you get in the zone running, you get in the zone, whatever you're doing in your life, you just feel like things are flowing beautifully, feel like you're the king of the mountain, where everything just runs downhill and you're in control, right? But how do you stay there? So that can you stay there, or that's something that comes and goes? What do you think, Bruno, about that?
man. How do you stay in the zone? I can tell you how I try to get back in the zone. I don't know if I've ever been able to, maybe, there's some techniques that help you get in the zone, but I'll tell you what I do if I get out of the zone. So when I'm out of the zone, the things that I do is gratitude. The first thing I try to do if I'm out of the zone is I try to remember like what it was like before when I wasn't doing very good, and I think about like how much I've grown. I think like a big part of being in the zone is you don't want to constantly be thinking about improving. It's like you don't want to think, oh, I just need to do a little bit better. I just need to do a little bit better. No, no, no. When you're in the zone, you're basically perfection embodied. There is nothing that you cannot do because this is a book. What is it? I forgot her first name. There's this book called Flow, and she explains to be in the zone is basically your skill level is challenged just a little bit too much where you need to think of creative ways to solve a problem. If the problem that you're faced with is way too much, it's harder than your current skill set can tackle, you're out of the zone and you
Mm,
can't like tap into it. But the reverse is also the same. If the challenge is way too easy and you're sort of bored, then you're also
mm,
not going to get in the zone. So it's like this little area where it's just hard enough for you to not get distracted and not be discouraged, right? And so that's what I found helps me get in the zone is that really.
yeah, but life comes and throw you off right here and there. But I know, but how do you actually get back to it?
Yeah, okay. So look, I'll tell you this. The less amount of inputs that I'm getting, the less that I'm trying to find an inspiration externally, and the more I'm trying to find, like, okay, where did I do something that made me feel good? Basically, I have to listen to myself. The more I start listening to other people's opinions, I'm not getting in the zone, man. And it's a fine line because we talked about it before, right? Like how you need to have external influences in order for you to start, and you need to have positive and environments and things to make you start. Like, yeah, that's all good, but I think at some point it becomes too much. Like, you have to find, like, what's that song that I fucking love to listen to? You know what I mean? Like, what time of the day do I have the most energy? If you don't know that, you got to know that. You got to know what time of the day you have energy, because that's going to help you get in the zone. You know what I mean? Other things, like maybe it's like, what shirt do I look good in? Let me use that shirt, because when I put that shirt on, I feel like a fucking badass. You know, like whatever, it's like little things that make you feel good, and then you start to accumulate those good feelings, and then you go, okay, now I'm going to go tackle something hard because I feel good. And then it's a matter of, are you in a mental state to get in the zone? Because, like, what is the zone really? You know what I mean? I mean, the zone is like, it's like a place where you're confident that you can overcome a challenge, right?
Yeah. But,
That's what it seems like to me.
yeah, but what do you think, like, what kills this momentum the fastest for most people?
Bro, it's what I said, man. It's, you're allowing yourself to be influenced way too often by that little devil in your ear, or the influencers online that are like, you need to do it like this. You're not doing it right. You need to do it like this. You need to do it right. I don't know. I feel like you have to, at some point, you have to go, this is what I believe, and I'm not gonna listen to you, man. I'm gonna do it this way, and this way works for me, and this is how I want it done. What do you think?
I agree with you, Bruno, on that. But sometimes what also comes to mind is like that you keep pushing, 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 right? And you always try. I want to be on that feeling. I want to be in the zone. And since we're talking about sports here, you're talking about pushing your body. You got to think about also recovery, because your body has a limit. You got to learn how to listen to your body. And when running, I can talk about running. You can talk about like what you do, like a jujitsu, and the training, the personal training that you do. But our body talks to us, it speaks to us, right? That's the way you say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you gotta listen to it. You gotta balance how much you push your body and how much you recover. And this is one of the toughest calls for a coach. Um, is try to relate this to an athlete that is starting to understand. Just because you kind of feel good, you might be at the limit, or if you push a little bit more, you're gonna go beyond what you should go to take the most out of your training. So you gotta push to a limit, then you come back. You're gonna push again, and you're gonna come back. Oh, you gotta work with the rest, pushing and rest, and that's gonna take you more often to the zone. Because if you don't feel good, trust me, you're not gonna be in the zone. You're not gonna get there, because you gotta be like a in tune.
I think you just said it. You said what I said in a different way, where it's like, you have to listen to yourself. You said it perfectly. Like, your body speaks to you. You know what I mean? And if you're constantly listening to
Yeah,
someone
it's not
else,
just the mind, Bruno, because you were talking about like a people, influencers, this and that, but I'm talking about physically, how much you push your body, how much you push your bones, your muscles, your tendons, all that, because this is plays a big role on how you feel things,
no, I totally
right?
agree. I totally agree. It's, yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, it's the whole topic of resiliency and mental toughness, right? It's like, how smart are you at listening to yourself? I think that's really kind of what it boils down to. Like, are you just a brute that just goes, ooga, ooga, goo, like this? Or like,
Yeah.
let me stop right now. I don't have to go that far. There's nothing on the line. I'm not going to die. Let me relax. Let me regroup. I'll go a little bit further in 10 minutes, right?
So we really talked about four different things that at the end of the day relates on how smart you are when you're training, how much you pay attention to your body, to your mind, to your feelings. So that's where you really should tap into it. Learn how you feel, learn with your experiences and apply all that the right way. So that's how I would conclude this these topics here.
Good. I like it too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're going to talk to a different topic here. So failure, fatigue, and emotional control. So how do you deal with this setbacks and try to stay calm under pressure? How can you do this? You know, what's a failure tested? How failure tested your mental toughness the most? What do
Yeah,
you say?
it's a really interesting topic because being in the zone is going to test you emotionally more than anything. Like we just talked about it, right? Like when you get out of the zone, it's basically because you want to be in it so much that you're out of it. And then what ends up happening is exactly what this topic is about. You fail more often, you're more fatigued, and you're more emotionally unstable because you're fucking trying so hard, right? So, for example, I have Tourette's, right? And Tourette's is something that is mostly outside of my control. And it really made me mentally tough because I'm basically a victim to something that I have no control over. And it really fucks up my life and the quality of my life if I do certain actions that make it worse, right? And so, for example, the more I'm on a computer or the more I'm watching television or the more I'm indoors and not outside, my Tourette's gets worse, and then consequently, the quality of my life goes down. And so, you know, for you asked me the question, what failure tested my mental toughness the most? I wouldn't say it's a failure. It's more like a defect of my biology, like this thing that I have no control over. I've had to be like resilient and be like, you know what, this thing I have no control, but I'm going to control the things that I can, so my life is as good as it can be within its limits.
But how do you deal with this frustration when things don't go your way?
Uh, well, I mean, personally for me, like I like to write. So I write.
Yeah.
I write it out. And I'll basically it's like I'm talking to myself or I'm talking to somebody and I'll write out like today was hard because I had Tourette's all day and I noticed that all my clients noticed and I was really embarrassed because I couldn't control it. And so like talking it out just makes me reflect on what's going on and you just start to see like man like I can understand myself, like sometimes you feel these things and you don't know where they come from, but then you write it out and you go maybe I'm feeling this way because this happened in my life and I wasn't able to respond in the right way. Like for example, like I was listening to a podcast today um or a meme or some shit like that. And it was like, if something bad happens to you, instead of you asking yourself, why me? Ask yourself, what lesson is this thing trying to teach me? You know? And man, sometimes you don't want to learn the lesson, but it's still a lesson nonetheless, right?
But that's yeah.
Go ahead.
No, no, but that's it. That's your experience. But sometimes I wonder. I mean, is really people out there these days struggle a lot with this lack of emotional control than before? Is that like been growing? I mean, with technology has been our increasing our time on the screen and less time with people. I don't know if you reflect more or less what's the role these days of these emotions in our lives, you
I don't know,
know?
man. I mean, I can only tell you from experience of who I know. And I can tell you that it seems that people are, how can I say this? People want things to be what they see on TV and what they hear instead of dealing with an individual, you know? Like I have clients that have like pretty shitty relationships, right? And it's shitty because one of the people in the relationship expects them to behave a certain way. But you can, but they're only expecting them to behave a certain way because they're like, everybody else does this. Why aren't you doing this? When really it's like, well, you're not listening, you're not seeing me for who I am and what I'm capable of right now and what I'm willing to give you, right? And so it's I don't know if people are less emotionally like dumb or I don't know if they're more emotional.
Numb or numb.
I think it's more of that. I think it's the opposite. I don't think they're too emotional. I don't think they're emotional enough.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what was my question. I mean, do people like struggle more today with like an emotional control than before? People get more out of control. Like I will not pay attention really what your feelings really are. I mean, I can tell by myself, man. Most of the time I'm pretty stable, but sometimes things get to me pretty hard. Over the years, these emotional feelings I've been taking less and less time to recover because sometimes those emotions, mainly of course bad emotions that you don't want to feel, right?
Of course.
That's what marks good emotions. I mean, if everybody's happy, but the bad emotions, the bad feelings, which pretty much, I mean, you do have control over them if you really want. And that's what I meant, the control. Can I change my mood because of something happened that made me feel sad, made me feel disgust with anything, disappointed? I mean, is this feeling really about me? It's about somebody else? Can I change the perspective and just let it be? I don't want this feeling.
You know, they say that emotions last only 90 seconds.
Really?
Yeah, and then anything beyond that, it's you bringing it up again,
Hmm.
you know? And I mean, I have the same.
I gotta, I gotta, I gotta change this, man, because my emotion, they used to last days, weeks.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of back for a few hours, and some of them are short, but 30 seconds, come on. How stupid am I?
90 seconds. 90 seconds.
I'm bringing them back many, many, many times.
I mean, we're in the same
Wow,
families, but like I experience the same things.
this is frightening, Bruno.
Yeah, it's hard, you know? It's like you wish you were, I don't know, like a monk or some shit like that, you know, where you could just be like, just let it wash over me and it's like whatever. But you know,
It's
in,
like dogs, hey, man. Dogs, when you're mad with dogs, I mean, you can 30 seconds later, they come and lick you.
that's a good point.
Like they forgot that you were mad at them. They were scared. Then they're back there. Let it go. That was like 30 seconds ago. This is a new 30 seconds. Let's live it differently.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Why
beautiful way of
can't
living.
we do this?
It's a beautiful way of living. It's a beautiful way of living. Yeah. How do we do this? You know, how do we do this? I honestly, I think it comes down to it's the problem is it's it's a two-person problem, or it's a one-person problem, it's a two-person solution. I don't because it's like if I'm angry, I'm usually angry at a thing that happened to me, right? Right? Or it's a thing in the world. But let's just say for sake of this conversation, it's something within our relationship, right? Something happened with someone that I'm in a relationship with and now I'm angry at them, right? And so this is how I see it. The solution is not I have to be strong enough to let it go. The way I see it is I have to be strong enough to tell them that they hurt me and somehow have them acknowledge that, yes, you're feeling pain right now. And maybe they don't tell me I'm sorry, but some sort of validation that, like, hey, man, like, I'm hurt right now. You know,
Yeah, but how often you gonna get that?
I think it's a matter of how well you can communicate.
Yeah, could be. You read that book, right? Let Them from Mel
Yeah.
Robbins,
No. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. That's your problem. I'm gonna feel good. That's your problem. You wanna,
No, but that's what I'm saying. You don't need to feel bad because I feel bad. You know what I mean?
yeah. So that's one person solution.
It is a one person solution. Okay. So but
Kind of selfish, but
yeah, but let me ask you this. How often can you solve your own problem? Like if you're angry and you go, oh, this is a like, okay, like the other person is angry and you go, let them. How often are they able to really fix it?
That's what you're trying to overcome, right?
I just don't think it's like I think it's like even though you're angry at something that you think I did, but I don't think I'm at fault, I'm
It's
still gonna
okay.
try to help you, you know? Like sometimes like fucking sometimes like I have to say sorry when I'm not sorry. You know what I mean? Like that's just what I do. That's what you gotta do. Like that's what right? You just do it because it helps them.
Yeah, no, that I agree with you. You can tell that, but that's up to the person to accept that or not. You did your
For
part.
sure.
I'm not gonna feel bad. I did my part. I'm gonna feel good,
For sure.
right?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
for sure. As long as yeah, yeah. You know why it gets weird is because then it's like if I don't feel bad about something, are you gonna get mad that I don't feel bad? That's a problem. Then that's a them problem, right? Like you
Yeah.
can't make me feel a certain way, right? I can sympathize, I can empathize, I can be compassionate, right? And those are stages of connection. But like you can't make me feel anything.
And then all these feelings here go back to our exercise. And believe or not, just like our conversation, just deviate from
Yeah.
the, but at the same time, it is connected because this is life and life is alive. And that takes our emotions, our life, our feelings to every direction. If you don't have a way of control your emotions, that will impact the way you do things, the way you exercise, the way you work, the way you have fun, your relationships. So this is real. This is real serious. Control your emotions, or you're gonna failure in your mental toughness. You're gonna failure in your consistency. Everything is inter. What's the word, Bruno?
They're connected
Intertwined.
and they're intertwined. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay. So then moving on, because I think emotions and emotional regulation, at the end of the day, if you're able to have a good grasp of your emotions, then you have self-respect. I would imagine that would be the next step, right? And so when we're talking about like mental toughness and self-respect, it's basically like who am I? And I think this is a huge thing that I think that I see even some of my clients don't have when they don't even know what they want. They're just sort of like moving through life. This is what is presented. This isn't that bad of an option. I'll just do it. Instead of really like, no, no, no. Like I have a strong belief this is what it is, and just being firm and basically shaping your identity. So like, once I truly understood what mental toughness was, like it helped me be more sympathetic and compassionate to others. Like mental toughness isn't just about handling the challenges in my own life, but being capable of dealing with the lives of others and being a solid person, like a rock for someone to rest their head on. Like mental toughness seems to be a topic that somehow it kind of means like selfishness, but it's not entirely about selfishness. It's about the ability to go outside yourself and then see the world for what it is and then act on what has to be done, not just what you want to do. So the better you get at that sort of understanding the barriers and understanding, what do I want? Okay, you want to, we're going to build this world together. These are the expectations, and this helps you be mentally tough because you don't have to say yes to everything. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, that many people. And that was my case, I believe. At some point, everybody goes through this. Who am I? What is my identity? And if we're talking about fitness here, I believe that you grow into that, and then when you grow slowly into that, your identity grows, your confidence grows, your self-respect grows. When you grow into the fitness, means like you're gonna lose weight, you're going to become stronger. Your posture is going to change. So is going to change the way you position yourself with other people. And people notice this. I mean, you were like a chubby guy before. Now you're kind of a Okay, you have mental toughness, you have consistency, you have results that you think that you're doing. So, and for that, your mental, your self respect will change with that. And then people, you're going to see people differently. You want people to see you different. And then you walk to that room, a different person, not just a different physique, right? You're a different person. You have a new identity. And that's right there to anybody grab and take control. So go after your new identity. If you don't have one that you're really sure, or something that you want to be, or something that you're sorry that you were, create an identity that you're proud of.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I think like everyone that trains with us, I mean, they're mostly there, they're all there for some physical change. But in the process of at least both of us, like we coach people like this. In the process of physically changing, we're trying to show them a better version of themselves beyond just no more pain, less weight, stronger, right? Like because both of us have gone through things in our lives that have tested our identity and our self-respect, and we're able to respect ourselves more. And I would like to share those lessons with other people and have them, if they're in a place where they don't respect themselves or their identity is shaky, like, hey man, not only are we here to help you physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. It's part of the whole thing, because I could put a six pack on you, but you're still like insecure. Like, what the fuck? Like, why do you want the six pack then? The six pack isn't going to get you what you want. You know what I mean? Like, the six pack plus the confidence is going to take you wherever you want to go. And just the confidence with no six pack is better than confidence with no six pack, right?
Absolutely. And so finding your identity is it's absolutely a goal. Self-respect, identity equal success in life, in relations, in business, anything really.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, what do you think keeps someone from developing self respect?
Well, they're afraid. They're insecure. That's what comes to my mind. They just think they're not good enough. But I believe this is not a process that happens from one day to the other. You gotta just believe in the process, follow through the process. Just like, knowledge, muscles, confidence, your identity, you build that. And how you build that? You build that with actions, day after day, with consistency, impacting your fundamental. So that's what you should look for someone. I mean, you got to look up for someone that, okay, I like that person. I want to be like that person. For me, I want to be like this guy here. Bruno, I always tell him, how come my son came out better than me? I learned so much with him that I said, Bruno, I mean, he's like a light years ahead of me, and I learned it. Just because I'm older than him doesn't mean anything. So it could be an older person, could be a younger person. I'm sure that you have someone in your life, or either that you know or that you know online, that is something that you could be proud of. Just go for it. Follow that and do what you have to do.
I like
Just
that.
believe.
I
Takes
like that.
time.
I like that. The thing about respect, it's like, I think self-respect, I totally agree with you. I think self-respect comes, this is what we talked about, comes from first respecting the system and the time it takes to get results. Like the more you're exposed to the right influences and also the pain and how slow things are, right? Like the more you respect the path, and then and your willingness to go through the fire, like you look back and shit, man, like I didn't want to do that, or I regret doing that, but I still did it, and I learned my lesson. I wasn't stubborn to say, nah, that's not a lesson I need to learn. I learned the lesson. I moved on. I grew from it. And then I feel like that's like one of the key things of self-respect. It's like you just move forwards, and you're humble enough to say, I made a mistake. I thought I was right. I changed my mind. progress, 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 you know?
That's it.
So we're getting to the end of the episode. And at this point here, we're going to ask some a little bit more intense or a little bit more intentional question. So, we talk about mental toughness this whole time, and we've been saying it's something that you cultivate, right? And that you learn to develop. And I think this question is sort of self evident since this whole episode has been about this, but it's worth asking anyways, which is, can mental toughness be taught, or is it something that you have to earn? What do you think?
My opinion goes both ways. Can be taught, of course, can be taught, but you gotta earn it. You know,
That's
I
perfect way of saying it. Yeah.
right. I gotta teach you. See how this is the way you do it. Right? Yeah, cool. But am I gonna do it? Am I gonna earn it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it goes both ways. So you can be taught, sure, but you gotta earn it.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. I totally
there you
agree
go.
with you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Dad. If you had one lesson to pass to the next generation about mental toughness, what would it be?
Oh, Bruno, you caught me on this one, man. You caught me on this one. Mental toughness, yeah. I just would say, like, the first thing that you gotta be tough, I'll tell, never doubt your power, your inner power. Never doubt it. The power comes within, not without. Is that the way you
Yeah.
say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. The toughness comes within. So, and everybody has it. Never doubt it. Never doubt it. There will be difficult moments, but it comes within and everybody has it. So that's the lesson. Never question, never doubt that you can do it. Because what one man does, the other man can do. That's it.
Awesome.
What about you, though? What you would say? I had a question that.
Well, mine is actually very different from yours.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. If I had to pass one lesson on to the next generation of mental toughness, my lesson would be friends with people that are mentally tough. You're a result of your environment. At the end of the day, what you're exposed to most likely, and of course, there's a big caveat here because you have to be strong enough to go against your environment sometimes if all you see is negative. But I would say you have to be friends with people that are mentally tough. The more chances you get to see how they perform in everyday life, the more likely you're able to develop that character. So it's not like just about how they deal with hard times, like hard situations, but also like the happiest moments of their life. How do they celebrate? How do they plan? How do they discuss with other people? How do they influence people? Like if you want to be tough, you want to have good role models. And having good role models isn't just about being tough, isn't just about following a role model that's emotionless and brute and what we talked about before, like, isn't considerate. But it's a you want to be influenced, in my opinion. Find yourself positive influences that show a well-rounded human being.
That's counts a lot for sure. Because I mean, it's hard to do alone. That's one thing. It's always easier when you're together,
Yeah.
as Jack Johnson
Yeah.
says
Yeah.
in the song, right? It's
Yeah.
always better when you're together. So if you have someone to support you and to give you the example, better it is.
Yeah. There's like a African saying, whereas if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's a game.
Exactly.
The game. You probably have to start by yourself.
Yeah.
You're not going to have any influences. You're going to be by yourself. You're going to be alone. There's nobody that's going to want to do it with you. 90% of people, not what is it? What's the fucking, there's like a crazy number of 90% of people that go to the gym on January 1st, like quit by the second week, you know? So it's like you're probably around more losers than you think, you know?
Totally agree. Totally agree.
And so you gotta like start if that's what you're about, start. And then from there find the people and then stick to those people,
Yeah.
you know?
It now kind of for to finalize here. So Bruno, I guess both of us we have. I mean, I admire you very much, not just because you're my son, but sometimes you're curious. What is one thing that you learn about toughness watching my life?
Man, so many. I think let me think. The thing that I've learned about mental toughness watching you is forgiveness. I think the amount of things that I've seen you go through, like forgiveness with yourself, forgiveness with others, like the ability to say, like, you know what, this isn't going to ruin my life. And I'm just going to, it was bad, but it's not the end of the world. And I have the power to just move on. I think that's always been like a lesson for me. And so whenever I look at problems in my life, it's like, is there a solution? You know? Like there's always a solution. There's always a way through. You can't just give up and be like, oh, this person betrayed me. Fuck them. It's like it always seems like you go, this person betrayed me, fuck them. And then like 3 weeks later, you're like, it's probably my life is worse by me telling them, by me living this way. So let me find a way to not live this way. That's the lessons that I've learned watching you. Then I'll have to ask you the same thing. Like, what have you learned about mental toughness watching me?
I mean, there's so many too, Bruno. So many, so many. But one that has surprised me, like in a good way, in the mental toughness, which is, I mean, of course, it's seeing you grow, knowing you from a kid, and you know, but seeing you become an adult and choosing what your profession, like you what you're doing now, like when you went to college that you didn't want to do what we wanted you to do and you stood up for that, you know, that's being mentally tough to go against or what other people expect you to do, you know. And that's what you would expect from an honored man that knows what he wants. So being mental tough for me was that you're dropping things that we dreamed of you being, you know, and not worrying about pleasing anybody and knowing what you want, identify your identity, so which you truly know who you are. And that goes in line with everything that we talked about here. You found your identity and you stood up for it no matter what, no matter who said what. That's what I want. And that's what you did. And that's where your success is. So for me, that's what stands up for me on mental toughness. Really find your identity and do what you think is right, even if it's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you got to, I mean, that's what it is, right? I mean, that's kind of what
That's what it is.
toughness is. You just do it, and you don't know if you're right or if you're wrong until you're in
Yeah,
it, right?
that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, this is the end, right? We've been here for an hour and a half.
Well, this is the beginning. This is only our first podcast.
Right. This is the first podcast, but this is the end of the beginning. Right.
That's absolutely.
All right. And so thanks everyone for listening. You know, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, but not just going to be talking about fitness and running, even though this is the main course, right? But we're going to be talking about life here and challenges that we go through, and we're going to try to relate this to the sport, right? To the running, to the fitness, and Bruno's experience in jiu-jitsu and all that. And by the way, I'm here in Maryland. Bruno is in Hawaii, but we're going to be talking once every week if possible. We're here.
Yeah, we're
That's
gonna be
that's
doing this every week, so should be pretty consistent.
all right. Thanks
Cool.
so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.